You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
A discovery has been made, and this is a spectacular discovery on one of the most prolific mining belts in the world. And not only is there silver, there's also a lot of indications that we could be near a big porphyry. And if you look at the porphyries nearby, they probably rank in the top 10 globally. So you get the best of both worlds. This is really an explorationist dream.
Thanks for tuning in to Mining Stock Education. I'm your host, Bill Powers. In today's episode, we are going to be hearing from Tier 1 Silver. The company released the last 5 holes of its first pass, 16-hole program at its Curibaya project in Peru. So here to talk about that is the CEO and president, Peter Dembicki, as well as the co-chair and co-founder, Ivan Bebek, as well as a new guest, first-time guest, Christian Rios. He is the senior vice president of exploration. So gentlemen, welcome onto the program for this update. Peter, let's start with you. Could you break down the key elements of this press release regarding the last 5 holes of your initial program?
Hey, Bill. Yeah, it was a real pleasure to get this type of intercept at this stage of our drill program. These were our last 5 holes of our program, our first phase, our inaugural phase. This is the first time this land had ever been drilled. And the fact that we got our second plus kilo intercept out of this program was not only some sort of sigh of relief because we know that we found it, we've got it, we're on the right track, but also it gave us an incredible amount of guidance for our next phase. We learned so much over the last 6 months on where it's taking us and where it's trending. And we're really excited for the next phase to come later this spring.
Ivan, so if I look at this from someone not trained in geology, we started off with about a 20 square kilometer footprint in which there was multi-kilo silver. And now you're going down about 150 meters, if I recall from the press release, and you found a meter of over a kilo silver. So how does this vector you into the source of all of this?
Well, great. So it's 1.5 meters of 1.2 kilo silver, and that extra half meter actually means a lot in silver deposits because we had 1 meter of 1.5 kilos previously. This project started about 4 years ago, and it was a concept that we're trying to see bonanza grade silver on surface. That is widespread over almost 20 square kilometers, and you can't take that away from this project. It's ridiculous amount of grade and a ridiculous dispersion of high grade. So the real multi-billion-dollar question is, can you find it subsurface? And what we saw here was, we saw it in 2 of the holes that we've drilled out of 16. We saw that bonanza grade. Now we're targeting silver veins, and we're trying to find feeders or areas where the veins or the fluids, all the silver would coalesce, and there'd be a body of it that you could call potential ore body. But as far as I'm concerned, a discovery has been made. And this is a spectacular discovery on one of the most prolific mining belts in the world. And not only is there silver, there's also a lot of indications that we could be near a big porphyry. And if you look at the porphyries nearby, they probably rank in the top 10 globally. So you get the best of both worlds. This is really an explorationist dream. But as far as the market's concerned, and I know people will ask, where is the market response to what you guys have? I mean, the silver market hasn't been easy. A year ago when Tier 1 came public, we were $31 silver. Right now we're $22 to $23.50 silver. It's not easy, but fundamentally the project is far better than it was a year ago. And this is a real discovery in our eyes. And we now know where to go explore and chase the silver. And we hit it 150 meters below surface in a vein, but we actually see, a lot of it goes right to surface. So we're just drilling underneath it. And I think, Christian Rios is joining us today as the new SVP of exploration. Well, first off, a huge welcome to Christian. And he comes in at a very, very important, but very, very favorable time. He's coming in on the backside of a discovery that just started. So I really commend his timing to be perfect. Christian's been with us for the last few years. He has operated everything, not just for Tier 1, but also in country for Sombrero. All of our operations in Peru run through Christian. And when we met Christian, we had a huge appeal to his background because Christian's been part of 2 major silver discoveries. He can talk about that here in a moment, as well as worked with someone that I have a ton of respect for in the late David Lowell. He worked with him for 4 years. David Lowell was one of the best discoverers in the world. And I think one of the cool things about Christian that I've really latched on to initially, he's an absolute team player. And as you know, our team, we have huge depth technically, a lot of former Newmont and other world experts that we draw in to get that kind of right answer and shorten the timeline to the big discovery. Christian's a very, very collaborative style, geologist. And the most exciting part is he just came out of the field. So, I'll turn it to him, but welcome aboard, Christian. And your timing couldn't be better on the back of drilling 1.2 meters of, or 1.5 meters of 1.2 kilo silver. Tell us more.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. Well, yeah, I've been in the field a few weeks ago and was very interesting because I saw the work that has been done last year. For me, Curibaya is a multi-target place. Just talking about what we drilled 2021, we hit one thing is geological intercepts, geological results, and another thing is economic results. We have in Curibaya, in the drilling, economic results. I'm talking about 1.5 meters, 1.2 kilos. 1 meter with 1.4 kilos, and also 3 meters with 400 grams. That's in Madre, that's in Sambalay, that's in Tipal. So we are opening 5 kilometers in only those 3 corridors, not talking about Sama, that also needs to be drilled. So in total will be 6 kilometers. Talking about all these Tipal and also Sambalay structures are pointing towards Cambaya. And Cambaya area, we have 250 more meters in vertical. We are higher in elevation, higher in the system, and higher topographically, and also stratigraphically also. So that means more tonnages, more volumes. And also in Curibaya, because we already proved the ore shoots up to 20 meters with 300 grams. So we have the ore shoot, we have the size, we have the width, we have these extensional areas, dilational areas, we have the grade, and we have more vertical. So that means more tonnages and volumes, and that's very interesting. And we think that that's the area that needs to be prioritized as first in this next drilling. That's Cambaya. About also, we think all these structures, as I mentioned, Tipal and Sambalay, that combine are 4 kilometers. So we need to drill also test those because we have economic grades. And as Ivan mentioned, we are in a world-class belt, porphyry belt, with the same age of mineralization as the big porphyry deposits. Toquepala, Cuajone, Quellaveco, Calatos, new discovery. Quellaveco is going to start production this year. So we're just 40 kilometers close to Toquepala with the same age of mineralization of those deposits, and also in Cambaya, we aged that. And that's very important to say because we are finding in the project below all these epithermal veins, we're finding porphyry dikes with secondary magnetite veinlets. That means heat source, that means heat fluids. We're finding in several holes quartz molybdenite veins, which means hot waters, hot fluids. We're also finding we have dissonation in alteration, dissonation in mineral that are pointing towards a center, more copper in the central part. And also we have mag anomalies, trackability anomalies that needs to be tested. And also it will be good to do more geophysics also in the area to have more tools to point towards to target a porphyry.
Christian, are you going to be doing only desktop work until you announce phase 2 drilling, or are there any more studies that you're going to be conducting?
Well, we're doing desktop at the moment. It's always a learning process. So we're looking until all the XRF, all the halo measurements, the alteration measurements. But we need to do also before drilling, before the next phase, we need to do more mapping, more focus in the structural mapping, because we need to define the changes in directions, the openings, the extensional areas of all these structures, mainly in Cambaya. So when we have changes in direction in this type of structures, that's the area that we need to hit. And also we know that in Cambaya, there are openings up to 20 meters. So we need to find more of these openings in the field and then to test those in drilling. So that's the work that needs to come before drilling. Mapping, more structural mapping, and also very possible geophysics.
Christian, you're not new to this. You were involved in Bear Creek Mining's silver discoveries in Peru. How many years did you work on those projects? And maybe you could share a little bit about how that experience informs what you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I was involved in 5 discoveries. In Bear Creek Mining, which is a junior mining company, I was involved in 3 discoveries, Corani, Santana, that are very similar epithermal vein deposits in intermediate sulphidation state as Cambaya and also Maria Jose vein deposit. That is another type of deposit, but that was 3. These 2 deposits combined is more than 300 million ounces of silver. It's open pitable both, but it has structures similar than Curibaya. So I know, for example, in Bebek Creek, in Corani, the discovery was in hole 13 and Santana in hole 20. So we're in hole 16 now in Curibaya. So I know that the first phase is to see if there are good geological intercepts. But as I mentioned again, we have economic intercepts. So that's huge for a first phase drilling campaign. That's what every geologist and every company wants to find. So we have there in Curibaya. So a good thing about these deposits is these intermediate deposits, epithermal type, can go deep between 500 meters and 1 kilometer vertical. So that's a lot of volume tonnages. We have in Cambaya, if we go to Cambaya, which is at least 200 meters, 250 meters above the other structures talking about Madre. So we have their volume plus the 150 meters that we hit in Madre below. So that's a very good vertical extension. That's about when I work and we had the discovery with the team in Bebek Creek, but also I work in a private fund called Stellar Mining here in Peru, where we discover from grassroots through production, we produce there 2 deposits. One that is called Santa Rosa, which is an epithermal vein, also similar than Curibaya, intermediate state sulphidation. And we discovered also Piedrimán, which was a skarn. So we discover and we produce Santa Rosa. And I could see there in the operations how these structures change and behave at depth. In this deposit, in this mine, we drill until 600 meters. Still the mineralization is continuous because this type of deposits allow you to go more vertically. But that's important to know because I have that experience in exploration and also in how to operate these structures. So that's about similar deposits as Curibaya. I was involved also, as I don't mention, with David Law in Peru Copper Syndicate for 3-4 years. I was in the beginning of another discovery called Toromocho, Parisat, porphyry, copper, molybdenum veins, for the big deposit. Also, we had copper molybdenum structures as we are finding now in Curibaya. We're finding this quartz molybdenite in several holes at the deeper parts of the system. And that's important because that means hot fluids, that means a porphyry near, and also these structures are linked to a porphyry deposit everywhere, not only in Peru, they are linked. So we having that evidence that these structures, this type of epithermal veins are linked to a porphyry, and also being in this world class and finding the characteristics that we're seeing in Curibaya that I mentioned, the secondary magnetite veins, the porphyry dikes, more molybdenum at depth. So that's very important, and also the mag variability anomalies that we need to drill, to test. That's very important to say that we are in a very important place, and we need to continue drilling to define the size, the geometry, the average grade of these structures, and to test the possible porphyry.
Peter, as you plan out phase 2 and you have all the information now from phase 1, how are you utilizing outside consultants to kind of critique your thesis or point you away from somewhere and maybe to somewhere?
Yeah, so, we just heard from our best consultant that we could find. We're really lucky to have Christian to be a part of, 3 discoveries in the same region in Peru with similar structures, similar characteristics. We're so fortunate to have him and his expertise and how we're going about this. We, as we all know, we made a shift with our SVP of exploration, but Christian has always been there, and he's taking with it, as Ivan said, and he's going to run with it. So we're really fortunate for that. We also hired 2 external consultants, world-renowned consultants, to download the data, take site visits the other week alongside Christian, and really give us that unbiased answer, we're all grown-ups and we were hoping for the green light and everything. And sure enough, they came back and said, you guys got it. You got to proceed. What's come of late is not only, as Ivan spoke about and Christian, the elevation of this project, with Tipal, Sambalay, and all leading up those corridors to the Cambaya region that has 250, 300 meters more of that precious metals window. And then also to have all the indications that there is a porphyry nearby. And I believe your listeners would remember in our early days, the porphyry was part of that story. And, the focus was silver is driving this high grade. And now to collect all the data from all these consultants and our experts and to say, looking back at some of these drill holes, looking back at some of what we're seeing on surface, these geological models, there's a porphyry nearby. And it's worth exploring. So now the time comes to, reverse engineer the next drill program. Let's, as Christian said, we got some soil sampling, some mapping, structural mapping to do over the next couple months, but we want to get this thing launched. And again, we have an FTA permit that allows us for still some more drilling within that permit. But our new permit, our DIA or a DIA that we hope to get early June, allows us for 20 more pads, but up to 200 more drill holes. And so we're not going to be as restricted in, really finding that perfect spot, perfect pad each time that we did in our first permit, that we only have a really limited amount of holes to drill. And so it gives Christian the flexibility when designing this program and allows, Ivan and I to help Christian when putting together a forecasted model for what we're going to do this spring.
Will there also be activity at your Hurricane Silver project?
Yeah, of course. That's a project that we only had a sliver of a window before Christmas to get in there and do some sampling. And so we got community access late, I believe in November, and we threw a quick team up there to rip out some channel samples, and they came back just amazing. The fact that there was the samples that they took in that short period came back as they were. And we've also got some more data coming back out of that is it's quite unique. We're finding old mining adits that believe are they're flooded. It's nothing that we could use in an official resource or anything, but they're historical tracks. It looks like rail tracks coming out of these things. So once upon a time, someone went through a lot of effort to mine some silver down there. So we're quite intrigued. But on our own reconnaissance, our own channel samples, rock samples, we couldn't be asked for a better start there. So as soon as we can get access, as soon as the rainy season subsides and the clouds part, so to speak, we're going to get in there and prove that thing out to attempt to get drill ready for the end of the year.
Ivan is the co-chair. Any final thoughts as we conclude?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just heard the amazing dissertation from Christian about the project, his experience, and all of the above. Look, the most important asset you could possibly have in an exploration company is experience. And the fact that he has nearby analog type discoveries, silver discoveries, and porphyry experience is outstanding. And that is a huge turn for us in this challenging path to go find something world-class. And everything you've heard him say made the project better than what it was last year when we didn't know as much as we did about it. Now, incredible work was done the first year by Dave. It was a very intense year. The data collected was abnormally a lot for an exploration company, but the answer that's coming together now and what Christian's talking about, like, this is where I get excited because he's actually found these before in country. So I'd say that look to experience as the best path forward in exploration. You can come out of grad school with top marks on your geological interpretations, but every geologist knows that once you've seen enough of these or similar type of discoveries, that's what we want to draw on. And outside of the other world experts we do collaboratively work with, Christian's experience is paramount. And he's been there the whole time. I'm watching what Dave and everyone's been doing, but this is where it gets fun. This is where it gets really interesting. And from us, you're going to hear a lot of focus. You're going to hear a lot of high impact approaches now, because we've done the kind of 16 holes to see where we should go. And as Christian said, and Dave said, we've hit what could be considered economic mineralization on the first program. I mean, this is it. Do we keep drilling next to the Sambalay target and keep adding kilo and a half over a few meters for 2 kilometers, or do we drill underneath it? It's so early in this project, but so exciting because we've turned that corner and now we know we can really go for it. And that's what you're going to hear from us going forward.
Excellent. Well, the company's website is tier1silver.com, trades in Toronto as TSLV and in the States under TSLVF. Gentlemen, thank you for providing this update today.
Thank you.